would like to welcome our final panel to the stage. This is going to be an exciting last half hour, so please come join me. And we will try our best to match our order to the picture. We can see if we can pull that one off. So that was a great setup for this panel. I've had the privilege, as I mentioned earlier, of seeing all of the behind-the-scenes work and what it took to get alignment across these different industry groups. And if I had to make a prediction, which is one of the things analysts do, I think you will continue to see broad-based and increased adoption of these standards and of this roadmap over the coming months and years. So I think momentum is just starting to build, and we have here a great set of manufacturers that are going to be a big piece of that building momentum over the coming months and years. So I'll go person to person, and we'll do questions as we go, and we'll do introductions as we go as well. So Trever, to start with you, and then a quick introduction for the group. What concepts from the roadmap that you may consider adopting in your company's individual roadmap?
Yeah, thanks for the question. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Trever White, Group Manager of a group called Digital Intelligent Manufacturing Engineering at Toyota North America. So my group has responsibility for trying to set standards across all 10 of our factories across North America. So, you know, as you probably read, we're introducing a full portfolio of electrified vehicles with even 30 new BEVs over the next 7 years. So we've got a pretty daunting task ahead of us, and our factories are really transforming. And our digital systems have to transform too. So the days of the individual shops with, what did John call it, stovepipe systems, we've got a lot of those. I think I saw the picture up on the screen. I think was that Toyota? I'm pretty sure it was. So that's definitely us. So we've got to move away from those siloed systems. We have to start opening up our architecture and our connectivity to our equipment. I was just at our battery plant in Greensboro yesterday, and talking about data and the need to have contextualized data through the entire supply chain for traceability is extremely important. So this platform and the concepts that SESME has are really interesting to us, and we're very interested in to start the journey towards contextualized data across open platforms. I'm competing against some serious competition.
They're cheering for you in your battery plant.
We'll go with that. All right.
Okay.
But I'm excited about this. Looking forward to the transformation of our digital platforms to being more open and sharing of data across all of our different use cases.
Great. Maybe one comment on the battery plant and the move towards electrification. Demand growth is not in a straight line, right? We've seen it go up and down over time and cycles there. How do you see this roadmap and smart manufacturing help add flexibility to the network?
Well, we have to go much faster. I mentioned our transforming of our assembly lines. Our lines of the future will be supporting mixed model production. So with our full portfolio, we're going to have traditional ICE vehicles, BEV vehicles, hybrid electric, plug-in vehicles, all running down the same assembly line. So our systems have to be much more flexible, much more open to support that mixed model production. And the speed that we have to go, we can't wait another 30 years to develop the systems that we have today. We have to go much faster, and they have to support the speed at which we're developing these new electrified models in the market. So what we're talking about with this roadmap is going to be extremely important, and we need not only companies like Toyota from an OEM perspective, but we need the suppliers and the manufacturers all to get on board with this approach to democratizing the data that's coming from these systems. So excited about that.
All right, great. Thank you, Trever. So Don, next question is for you, and a quick intro for the audience. What do you see as the greatest challenge in implementing this roadmap at your company?
Well, wow, what a roadmap. Exciting stuff. The really good stuff coming, and we're really embracing it. I'm Don McCartney from OshKosh Corporation, and I work in the enterprise architecture. And this foundation of open source, removing stovepipes, is key to us to be able to move faster. And when we move faster, we can build stronger trucks we build trucks that really serve our communities around the globe. We build fire trucks, we build trucks for defense, we build equipment for our construction sites. And part of that is you need to have a roadmap, you need to have consistency, and you really need to drive. And this roadmap will help us perform and get there faster. But one of the challenges that I see is that how you maximize value from this roadmap. And I see it as three things. One is you really need alignment with the top executives. What business case are you going after? How are you aligned to the strategy from the business? The second, you need a foundational standpoint of how you measure and where that measuring standpoint is and that baseline. So you can measure progress and you can show the value of the improvements that you're making. And third, you have to have a strong change management process. It's all about people, technology, and processes. And a change management process, a strong one, will really change the mindsets of an organization to embrace we're better together mindsets, to really drive improvements in innovation, and really a strong team that will embrace the technologies that we have to be thought leaders so they can show and build strong business cases to take to leadership. And then the third piece of that is really our processes, that mindset of continuous improvement. How do we really get stronger? How do we leverage these technologies to drive those improvements? So those are some of the challenges that I believe that we'll have with the roadmap.
Great. So Don, maybe a couple just questions and discussions off that. So business cycles are moving faster than ever. The objectives of your CEO and the board are going to be changing quickly. How do you govern your smart manufacturing initiative to make sure you stay aligned as those objectives change quickly?
Yeah, we have a strong team. We actually have what we call a cross-segment team that looks at where is the value in the organization. And they meet, and they meet once a month with the CEO of our organization, CFO, the C-suite, to talk about what that strategy looks like, what we're going to go after, and what's been delivered so far. So that's a really constant, continued communication back and forth on how we drive and where we're going as an organization, so we stay in sync.
And you also mentioned change management, which I agree is critical. Did your organization have an existing change management process, and did you have to build or change that for smart manufacturing?
Yeah, we started out with change management because change management, obviously in the ERPs, everybody was upgrading ERPs. So we quickly realized when we upgraded ERPs, change management was a big process to making sure that our team members did not embrace the new technologies and drive it. So it was part of our thing, but we all are maturing and growing because at the blue collar and at other areas of our organization, we need to continue to grow and build this change management process.
Great, thank you, Don. All right, next question's for you there, Fernando. So a quick intro, and then what sticks out to you as the most significant value that could be realized from this roadmap?
So, good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Fernando Bera. I'm engineer supervisor in ZF Group. So here in Greycourt, I'm responsible also for digitalization in Industry 4.0. So thank you so much for the question. Thank you for having me here in this amazing event. So I think definitely we have seen in our industry a lot of challenges, but for this specific roadmap, put everything in the right focus, right? We have three main focus. One of them is to get the IT infrastructure modern and easy to handling, so flexible and so on. So I think a lot of people here in this audience here is very close to the shop floor sometimes and see how difficult it is to get some data. So to get data from the PLC, for example, because sometimes we have a lot of good ideas. Oh, we needed to bring this data because I think we can apply AI. So, but unfortunately, we have some, difficulties to get some data. And I'm only talking about one equipment, for example. ZF is a global company, is a technology company. We are in 168 facilities in 32 countries with 165,000 people. So the standardization is very, very important in my point of view. So I think since this morning from Jim's presentation, I think I saw in one slide is 80% that we spend to get some things done, that is not add value to the process. So only 20% is really the data that is in the right hands, in the right people, in the right, how can I say, methodology. So I think in my point of view, definitely we needed to get the IT infrastructure in a very good way, in very good shape. The vision, or I think it will be a dream or a vision that we can connect one equipment from the shop floor, and after 10 minutes, we are able to give the data in the data scientist's hand. So I think this is very important. I think John showed very well in this slide, and Jonathan as well, how it's important to bring this information in very good structure, in very good manner that we can analyze things that add value to the process, add value to the product.
Great, thank you, Fernando. One thing that John mentioned in his talk was the idea of technical debt. And when you talk about creating value, I think about it two ways. One is that creation of value, so that step change improvement, that next 10 or 20%. The other is value preservation. Can I continue to operate my plants in the way that I am today, given all the external changes that are happening? So could you talk about how you may think differently about value preservation, just sustaining your current systems and not systems performance versus getting that next 10%?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's very interesting when you saw the presentation. I think in 10 years we didn't make so much progress in terms of productivity. Yeah, it's interesting to see because we are talking about very interesting technologies. For example, ChatGPT. We can see a lot of cobots now in the last couple of years. And you can see a lot of another different technologies. And in the same time, when I see that slide or that search, your numbers, and I can see, wait a moment, we are in the peak of the technology, and sometimes we are stuck in the productivity side of this. I think the answer for this, I think it's very clear. The complexity from the supply chain, since our supply until our customer. I think of course, that automotive is very complex, but I think the key is to find a way, to find a path, to visualize the data, not only the data, but the traceability of the products around the supply chain. Because in the end of the day, we are a global supplier, and we can stop our customer in a couple of hours. But sometimes it's not our fault. Sometimes it's the problem that is from the supplier, the tier 3. So, and the point is, in the end of the day, everybody will lose. Everybody will lose productivity. Everybody will is involved in stress and so on. I think this roadmap is giving us the possibility to see, ways to go in that moment to identify, waste in the system.
Great, thank you, Fernando. All right, Oliver, for you, and as John mentioned, as this global community of standards and associations and consortia focused on a common mission, vision, and objectives, what key challenges and opportunities does Catena-X bring to the implementation of a smart manufacturing roadmap for industry?
So I think what Catena-X, two things I would like to mention. First of all, it's based on open source, so it's not that only I or you can manipulate it. We all can work it together and branch off. I think this is a key element to accept and adopt, that it's not owned by one, but it's owned by all. Even if you maybe do not like the others, but they're part of a process because we are a community, right? So I think this is what we bring to the table, and what we as Catena bring to the table is, as a role model, no matter where you look around on the globe, no one can solve those issues, what I presented before, alone. So we bring a mindset, and this is what you talked before about, a change mindset from top management to middle management to experts, that I want to solve this stupid use case, and I cannot do it on my own. Even if I'm called the biggest OEM, the biggest first tier, or the biggest outfitter here, I struggle doing it alone. And this is what we bring to the table, a passionate group of community people. Says, I want to create a solution for the industry that can scale beyond the industry. Because what you mentioned before, that we're extremely complex as an industry. In a second, third, or fourth tier, they're not longer 100% automotive. They suddenly become chemical companies, they become whatever kind of companies, and so we have to understand that we only work through value chains if we scale into other industries as well. And that's why we have companies like, take BASF or Asahi Kasei, chemical companies, big ones, who say, I may be on the second, third, or fourth tier. Automotive only is 10% of my business. And what I do here has to work in other industries as well. And if it works, if I can reduce my interfaces, if I can reduce my complexity, I adopt and bring it into others as well. And that's what we bring to the table.
Great. Well, excuse me.
Are you good?
I'm barely
It's
good.
hard to it's hard to swallow, right? But
I am losing my voice, so thank you.
Something to chew on.
So, Trevor, you know, Toyota is well known in the world of Industry 3.0 for quality, reliability, right? Lean manufacturing, Toyota production system, right? So as you move into this next generation approach and are going down this roadmap, could you talk about maybe some of the ways that you're thinking in terms of people and roles and mindset to move towards that idea of transformation from continuous improvement?
Yeah, we were talking about this earlier, and I was asked the question of what's the biggest challenge within Toyota, and I think in terms of people, process, and technology, we have really, really strong processes. We have we've introduced some really good technology, but changing the culture and the mindset to being more data-driven on the factory floor is a cultural change that we have to make. And I really like the slide that was shown earlier with the number of maintenance folks, for example, that are nearing retirement or leaving, and we've got a whole new generation coming in that expect a mobile device, right? So right now, we're servicing really two completely different personas when it comes to our users of digital technology. So it's really important right now to work with the end users, understand how they use the technology, educate them on how to use the technology and how to use that data that crosses multiple boundaries. I think in the past we've been very siloed focused, but very process focused. You know, our members really understand strong process on the plant floor, but now we're introducing new platforms and showing them how to use data to make better decisions on a daily basis and not spend a lot of time collecting data. I feel like we spent a ton of time collecting data and very little time actually doing something with it. So we're kind of flipping that right now, and we're changing the culture and the mindset of our plant floor members such that they have data that's readily accessible and it's contextualized and meaningful to them, so that they can make better, real-time decision making instead of analyzing what happened the day before and then not being able to adjust to it. So that's a big shift in culture, and the training aspect of that is so important right now to what we're doing, but still having that what we call Toyota Way mindset and problem-solving mindset.
Great.
Yeah, just to add on to that, as far as we're talking about connecting systems, and now this roadmap allows us to connect systems and do real-time collection of data, and also AI is big in the space. So Now we have the opportunity to really build that IP in a digital IP that normally there was 30 years of tribal knowledge just retires, that knowledge walks out. How do we gain that and build that digital intelligence that we need to be able to continue, bring our new workforce up to speed faster, to make sure that we don't have the disruptions when someone leaves the organization because they do want to retire. So that itself and the compute power to be able to digest this amount of data in a real time process is able to not just allow someone to go make better decisions to augment decision making, but integrate that into the process so people don't make mistakes, or also to be able to predict things before they happen and we prevent those things. That is really where technology and this roadmap can really help in driving in that real-time data.
So one of the big pieces of a data architecture, making sure it's usable, is putting that data and insights in the role, in the process, focused on a specific user. And so one of the things we've seen is moving from a use case first approach to a persona first approach, and then layering the use cases against that persona rather than vice versa, right? To make it much more usable for the personas. Does that resonate? Does that trigger any thoughts, discussion just to the panel?
Yeah, I know we were talking earlier about the personas base, but we put out an IT/OT architecture internally, and we sent it out and said, hey, here's our vision for IT/OT integrated architecture. And honestly, we had to pull it back. And we pulled it back and said, let's refocus the architecture and the approach based on personas. Then it resonated. So I think that's really important. I think it's a really good point right now, and we're seeing that in terms of deploying, whether it's architectures or new systems, making sure that we're focusing on the user experience and the persona of the person that is consuming the data that we're deploying.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Persona base is really the direction, because a use case is really focused and a little myopic. You're fixing one problem, but you may not be fixing the whole thing to make that user more productive or the whole value stream more productive. So you're sub-optimizing, and you may get some quick wins, but it's ultimately not the direction we want to take manufacturing longer term.
So please.
So yeah, definitely, I agree 100%. It doesn't make sense if we talking about here to solve complex problems if you're not involve people. I think also to create a kind of buy-in, it's up to us leaders, to show the mentality of the smart manufacturing mentality mindset to our people as well, because in the end of the day, they are the final user from the tool. Yeah, and I think the buy-in is very, very important.
Great. Maybe time for just one or two more questions for the panel. A lot of this again is about data and usability. And Trevor, you mentioned, hey, we spend 80% of our time collecting data, 20% of our time analyzing and using that data. So I'd be interested to hear from the panel if you're creating new roles, new approaches within the organization for the collection and quality of those data. Data engineers, data stewards, data quality folks, any comments on that?
Yeah, so in ZF, we have a kind of initiative globally, is eGEM. So it's an initiative for digitalization, and also this is a kind of top-down from the board into our employee level, and definitely this is breaking down in the digitalization experts, data engineers, and data scientists. I think this is is a very interesting strategy to move forward, because more and more we are talking about the data, and is important to see how we will do with this data, yeah, and the data scientists, engineers, and so on. I think it's very, very key to move forward with this initiative.
Yeah, I agree. Us too, was having a conversation with the back of the office earlier. Some people were pinging me about a question about, hey, these roles and responsibilities that you guys just put out around OT networking, it looks like our shops need to change the way that we're recruiting. Yes, you do. You need to start recruiting people that have the ability to understand how to design and support OT, IT integrated networks. So yes, we're asking for our engineers as we're recruiting right now in colleges to have the capability of data analysis, data analytics, maybe not a programming, but that's a plus. We love hiring engineers that have the capability of developing as well, but that's our idea for the future for engineering and manufacturing on the floor. We firmly believe that we're going to have this new roles that we're going to have in our engineering organization that have the capability of having a data-first, data-centric mindset, for sure.
Yeah, and I agree with everything it said. We also are really focused on generative AI and those cognitive AI skills and making sure that we build those skills in-house. And we're really growing those to say, hey, that's almost the easy button in manufacturing. What do I do when this happens? What do I do when that happens? That information that we should be able to produce in the organization to help that worker on the shop floor.
Great.
Maybe
Last word.
Last word, okay. I think we all talk now from perspective from a large corporation, like ZF, Toyota, OshKosh, BMW. We talked about a lot about, however, small and medium enterprises, and they have, I don't want to be insulting, but they have not a lot of prompt experts. They do not have a lot of data governance engineers or data scientists. So what we saw here before on the roadmap, what John presented and the others, we have to also make sure that it scales to those people and corporations who are at the beginning of their journey, and not like we are maybe in the middle. And I think this will be the biggest challenge, to get the people along and not just to set ourselves more apart.
Great. Thank you. Well, please join me, give me a round of applause for our panel. Thank you.